Intelligent people do not assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, if I'm fighting against that bad feeling, I'm causing war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life.
We live?
We are live.
Live and alive. All you come in this morning. Good morning. Conversations with J moderators. Good morning, the Win Column. Good morning, Aretha. Good morning, Codex. What's up, Christina? How y'all doing this morning? How y'all doing this morning? You all right, see? Good morning, Sherry. How we doing this morning?
Good morning, Sherry. I'm doing great this morning, man. But I gotta tell you, I got no stories or questions for you this morning.
Yeah, no questions, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a hectic morning this morning, so I didn't get a chance to read on anything.
What was hectic for you?
Well, I'm planning like this really big presentation, and there are a few documents that I have to get together and stuff like that. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I woke up to a whole bunch of emails and stuff like that. What about you? Good morning, Christina.
There's a clip that I wanted you to play. I wanted you to play. I'm just sending it to you right now. It's interesting because it's a clip about what is belief, and so we'll get there. I was reading I was reading Atomic Habits this morning. Atomic Habits is a book by James Clear, and to me it's very similar to The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. But a little bit different at the same time, but it's very, very similar. It's almost like he picked up that book and said, I'm going to continue on from here. Because that book, The Power of Habit, is a pretty, it's an older book. So give me did you get that I just sent you, see?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now, actually.
You're pulling it up? Okay, perfect. Now just give me a second. I actually started and I didn't have my iPad with me where I put my notes. So it was a hectic morning for me as well. I had a delay at the gym this morning. So All right. So this book is it talks about identity a lot, and it starts with that theme. So the anchor of the book is talking about the fact that your habits are rooted in your identity, and it is important to remember that all of our habits really, they have triggers, and they have, different levels of change, because you want to change an outcome, or sometimes you want to, just change a process altogether. But the biggest and most powerful item of change is changing your identity. So let's start on my notes here, and then when I'm ready for that little clip that I sent you, see, I want you to play it for everybody, because it's actually quite funny. But what I wrote, the first thing I wrote was, changing our habits are difficult because we try to change the wrong thing. Now, people are like, what do you mean you try to change the wrong thing? I'm a smoker, and I want to smoke. And I don't want to smoke anymore. It's bad for me. How is that bad? I'm not trying to change the wrong thing here. Good morning, Maria. Christina says, I look forward to these lives. I'm glad that you do. Starts my morning off right. Morning to my favorite people. Morning to you as well. Absolutely. Okay. So he goes, consider that there are 3 levels. Okay. 3 levels. Remember this. There are 3 levels of change that can occur. So he says, consider them. There are 3 levels of change that can occur. The first level of change that he talks about is your outcomes, right? That's a layer number 1. That's your outcomes. Those are basically the results. Those are changing the lagging indicators. There's leading indicators, which are the things that you do, which is going to be the processes. And then there's the outcomes. So for example, if you go on a high protein diet and you want to be in a calorie surplus because you want to gain weight, sometimes that's something that I've done in the past, for example, right? The leading indicator is the diet, the amount of food that I'm eating and trying to be in a calorie surplus. The lagging indicator is the weight gain. So that's the outcome. So layer number 1 is changing the outcome, which is changing the lagging indicators. Layer number 2, as he writes, layer number 2 is changing the actual process. Changing the process. So that would be implementing a new workout routine at the gym, or decluttering your desk for better workflow, meditating. You're changing what you do. You're changing the process, which is the leading indicators, right? So the lagging indicators, they're called lagging because they're behind, right? And the leading indicators are called leading because they're in front. And those are 2 levels of change, 2 types of change. Again, one is changing the outcome, changing what happens at the end, what the result is. And the other is changing what you actually do, your processes, and your actions, your daily activities, and stuff like that. There is a third one, though. And the third one is the most powerful one, and that is changing your identity. The third one is the most powerful one, and that is changing your identity. And changing your identity is basically just changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourself, your judgment about others. That's what changing your identity is, right? How do you see the world? How do you react to the world? How do you interact with the world? Okay, so those are the 3. The most important one of those, though, is changing the identity. Okay, and so here's the issue. Outcomes are about what you process, right? And oftentimes we build systems with just 1% improvements, which is good, but those 1% improvements, it doesn't change the outcome very fast, right? It doesn't change the outcome very fast. And of course, all 3 of these are useful, trying to change what you do and also changing your outcome and changing your identity. All of them are useful. The problem is that the direction of these changes are all different, right? So think of outcome going in this direction, and then think of your process going in this direction, and then think of your identity going in this direction. And the thing is, your outcome and your processes will follow your identity. So if your identity is going straight, your outcome and your processes will also go straight. So if you focus on again, we want to focus on all 3 layers of change. But if we focus on the right direction, which is the identity version of these layers of change, then the other 2 will follow. The other 2 will follow. And so he talks about this a lot in this book. He goes, many people begin the process of changing their habits with a direction that focuses on what you want to achieve, which leads to the outcome of these habits, right? So he says, I want to achieve, I don't know, again, I want to learn how to speak Spanish. Let's say, for example, I want to learn a new language, okay? And You're focused on what you want to achieve, and then you also focus on the fact that you have to practice every day. So you only focus on those two things. Problem is, you're focusing like this and like this and like this and like this. You're focusing to the side, right? Because your processes are over here, and then you're hoping that it gives you the results that you want. Then you kind of have to be more consistent with the processes, but then maybe the results are discouraging, and then maybe you're less consistent with the processes, which will all obviously make the results trash now. Like now the results aren't going to come at all. They're going to get even worse, and so on and so forth. So what he says is the alternative is to build identity-based habits, okay? You're building identity-based habits, which focuses instead on what you become and who you become, right? So he gives for an example, right? Smoking a cigarette, okay? There's one person that's offered a cigarette and they say, no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. Okay, that is, you're trying to quit smoking. Then he gives another one and he goes, the other person says, no, thanks, I'm not a smoker. Now, I've given you guys this example before. One person says, no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. And the other person says, no, thanks, I'm not a smoker. But both of them are, I guess, recovering smokers, right? Both of them kind of are smokers, but one in their mind, they're not a smoker anymore. The other person in their mind, they say, I'm trying to quit. So one believes that they're a smoker who's trying something else, trying something new. And the other has had an entire identity shift, right? For them, smoking was a part of their former life. It is no longer a part of their current life. It's a big difference. For the second person who says, I'm not a smoker, that's because it's part of my past. It's part of my former life. It's not who I am anymore. Okay. Good morning, Donna. It's not who I am anymore. Okay. That seems like it's very small, but it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Okay. If you think about it, most people don't consider the identity part when they set up to make a change. They just think, I want to be skinny, and if I stick to a diet, I will be skinny. Right? That's what they think. I want to be skinny, so if I stick to a diet, I will be skinny. That, again, those two layers of change, outcome and process. Right? Here, being skinny is the outcome, right? And the diet is the process. Right? But there's no shift in the identity. That third layer of change, it's not there. So what I wrote down here is we must consider the beliefs that actually drive our actions. Remember, identity is your beliefs. What beliefs actually drive your actions, right? And we have to realize that sometimes our old identity can actually sabotage our new plans for change. Our old identity, who we're holding on to, or who we really actually think that we still are, that we're trying to change or trying to deviate from, that can actually sabotage our change. And so I wanted to bring up that clip because I just mentioned the word belief. And remember what changing your identity is. I'm going to repeat it because the first thing I wrote down was, what is your identity? It's your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourself and others. So this is a funny clip of Jordan Peterson. I've seen a good few times now, being circled around. And I understand what he's saying. I've read one of Jordan Peterson's books, and I quite enjoyed it. But I understood exactly what he was saying in this clip. So why don't you go ahead and play that clip for everybody to see, and you'll laugh. And maybe you could tell me real quick what you think he means with what he's saying. Go ahead.
Do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say you
circular?
believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if
What's
you
a
believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So
How
then,
would you define believe? Something you say?
that's why I explained, like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't be
life?
so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my
Do you believe in the all-knowing,
Let it play one more time. It's fascinating.
all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say you
circular?
believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if
What's
you
a belief?
believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
How would you define believe? Something you say?
that's why I explained, like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't be
life?
so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my
Do you believe in the all-knowing,
All right, thank you. What do you think about that exchange there? I know you know that other guy, Parker. He's a political debater from the left.
I don't think Jordan Peterson was making any sense, to be honest. I don't really understand what he was saying. It seemed like he was going senile in that moment.
So a lot of people do think that about Jordan Peterson, like, what is this guy's a madman, and he just rambles on, and he just says a bunch of crazy things. And actually, the funny part is that he kind of does write like that too. He does say like a whole kind of like bunch of crazy stuff. Now, I that's why this clip went viral, because I think it was Parker, who was the guy that Jordan Peterson was debating. I think he clipped this and put it on his TikTok to say, like, because he was debating him for that time on Jubilee, and I think he was trying to say, like, this guy, he's just going around in circles. Now, what do you mean by belief is what he says, right? And the thing is, the word believe, it actually came from, I forgot what the original word was, but there's like an ancient Greek word that basically is belief. It's used in ancient texts. And what it means is, if you say you believe something, then you act as if it's real, right? Like, you'll bet the house on it. That's why he was saying, if you believe something, would you die for it? Would you actually die for it? And he's saying, I believe this pen exists, but I would lie. But and then he says, well, you're not so sure. Well, don't be so sure, that just brought it to another place. But Parker was like, I would just lie. But that just because you're lying doesn't mean that you don't believe that the pen exists, right? And so the idea is, if you believe the pen exists and you have to write something, you're going to reach for the pen, because belief is a verb. Belief is an action word, right? Even though it's actually not in English, the original belief that I'm talking about is an action word. It's a verb. So if you say, I believe something, that is actually how you live your life. It's not just lip service. You don't just say something. That's what Jordan Peterson was trying to explain there, although he always explains things in mysterious ways like that. But that's what he was trying to say. He said, what, you believe it just because you said it? Does that mean that you believe it? And the reason why I bring that clip up, and thank you for playing that, see, the reason why I brought that clip up is because, like I wrote here, behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. I'm going to say that one more time. Behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs, right? So anything you do that has some sort of action attached to it, you have to have some sort of belief behind it that it's made up of, right? If I don't believe something is going to work, I'm not going to do it, for example, right? If I don't believe that exercising or doing cardiovascular exercise is going to help my heart health, I'm not going to do it, right? And remember what your identity is. Your identity is your beliefs, your values, rooted in your your belief systems. And so if you're able to change the belief system, then you're able to change the actions that are attached to that belief system, right? Because again, behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. So beliefs is an action word. And that's the reason why he said, what do you mean by belief? And that's why he said, I put my life on it because I believe it. And if you wouldn't put your life on it, then do you really believe it? It sounds crazy, and it sounds extreme, but that's what we're getting at here. Okay. And so the reason why I say that is behavior, another thing I wrote down, behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last, right? So if you have behavior that's not going the same direction and in agreement, right, with who you believe you are, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. So I wrote a few things to test it, right? I wrote a few things down to test it. But before I get to those things, I'm going to give you an example of a guy who used to bite his nails. It started as a nervous habit when he was a kid. And this example is in the book. And he wanted to stop biting his fingernails. So what he did is he asked his wife to schedule his first ever manicure. So he asked his wife to schedule his first ever manicure. His thought process was, if I start paying to get my nails done, then I wouldn't chew them anymore because I'm wasting my money. And it worked, but not for the reason that he thought. It didn't work because he was feeling guilty about wasting his money when he bit his nails. See, can you guess why it worked?
Um, I'm not sure.
It actually worked because the manicure made his fingers look so nice. For the first time, he had nice looking fingernails, right? And suddenly he was actually proud of his fingernails. He thought his fingernails looked good. And he had an entire different action process around it. He was looking at his fingers like, these are nice. I don't want to ruin them by biting them, right? It changed the way he looked and valued his fingernails, the way he looked at them, the way he valued them, right? And so that is a simple example of how when you change your value system, you change your belief system, it'll change your actions. All right. And so what we wrote down, well, what I wrote down here is true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because you want to change, but you'll only stick to it because you're changing your identity. You're changing that habit. Now, like I said, I was going to prove it to you with the belief systems, right? I want to know, put a 1 in the chat if any of these sound familiar to you. You've heard somebody you know say this, or you yourself have said any of these things. I wrote a few things down to prove my point. Let's see here. Okay, any of this sound familiar? I'm bad with directions. I'm bad with directions. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person, right? I'm bad at math. I'm bad at math. I'm not good with names. I'm not good with names, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard, you yourself have said any of those things. See, have you ever said any of those things?
To be honest, it sounds like you you wrote down all the stuff that I told you in the past.
No, I didn't. It's actually in the book. All these examples are in the book, right? And so my point is that you actually have structured your belief system around you're bad at math. You assumed that identity, right? And you've now structured your belief system around that. Therefore, your actions, remember what we said? We said behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. So therefore, your actions are supporting those beliefs, right? The I'm not good at math, the I'm not a morning person, all of those things, right? The I'm bad at directions. All of those things are now supporting the actions. You see what we just did? It's a double-edged sword. So here's the thing, like if you want to change your habits, you also have to change your identity. And I'm going to throw you guys for a loop in a second. You have to change your identity, right? But if you change your identity for the bad, your habits will also change for the bad. And if you change your identity for the good, habits will be changed for the good, right? Now, the reason why I said I'm going to throw you for a loop is because how do we put this all together, right? Because like these identity forming habits that are a double-edged sword, how do we make sure that we are assuming the right identity so that the habits, the actions, the system of actions can follow it, right? Well, the funny part is you change your identity by doing the thing. So we come full circle all the way back to layer of change number 2, which is your process, right? You want the outcome. Let's just say, you want an outcome to be skinny, right? And the process is to, I don't want to use be skinny because that I don't want to be skinny. Let's use something I want. So the outcome I want, for example, is to be trilingual. I want to know 3 languages. I want to learn 3 languages. So I want to be fluent in 3 different languages. Okay, I'm on my way. So I want to be trilingual. The process is that I vigorously practice a 3rd language. Okay, and the identity is a person that can speak multiple languages, can travel and enjoy and be a person that can enjoy a different culture or in a different place or a different country in a different way than other people can, because I can communicate with people in their native tongue. Okay, let's just say that that's the all 3. That's the identity, that's the process, that's the outcome. But in order for that identity to take place, I actually have to start practicing a 3rd language. So let's say I want to learn French. I actually have to start, or Portuguese, because I do want to learn Portuguese. So I have to actually start learning Portuguese. I have to start speaking in Portuguese. I have to start speaking to people who also speak in Portuguese. I have to maybe even be in a Portuguese community, whether it's here or in Brazil, for example. I have to start doing it. The more I do it, the more I tell myself that I'm that person. And the more I tell myself that I'm that person, the more my identity changes. The more my identity changes, the more I do it. And therefore, the outcome changes. So I stick with it. So all of them work together. In order to change your identity, you have to do the thing, because you're telling yourself by doing the thing that you are that person. If you can't just tell yourself you that person and just overnight you're going to be that person, right? If you tell yourself, I go to the gym every day, I'm an athlete, I have the identity of an athlete because I work out, but you haven't even gone to the gym in 6 months, right? You're not going to just say I'm an athlete all of a sudden. You're going to have to start going to the gym on a regular basis, even when it's snowing outside, even when it's cold, even when it's raining. Do that a few times, and eventually then you start assuming that identity of that person. So the funny part is, in order to change your identity, you have to do the thing. But in order to stick to the thing, you have to change your identity. You feel me? So it's like, it's all crazy. In order to change your identity, you have to do the thing. But in order to stick to the thing, you have to change your identity. And by doing that they call it a feedback loop, right? By doing that loop, you end up getting the outcome, the change that you want to see. And you become the person that you want to become. So I just thought it was really interesting. This is a really great book. It's called Atomic Habits. And I hope you guys will go check it out. And of course, it's not going to be the last time we speak about this book. It's also not the first time that we've spoken about this book. But, you really are your habits at the end of the day. And so go out there, guys, build good habits and break all the ones that are preventing you from being great. I will see you guys this evening. I will see you guys this evening. We have our regular Thursday evening live. All right, so make sure you guys tune in. If this helped you, please go and send it to somebody, get the likes up, and enjoy your day, guys.
Your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Like a helicopter. helicopter. Spin out your rods in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Oh, when me choppers them. 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 Rods with me, flash with me, rods with me, flash with me, rods with me, flash with me. Yo, spin your rods in the air like a chopper. Wave your rods like a helicopter. Spin out your rods in the air like a chopper. Round and round like a helicopter. Spin your rods in the air like a chopper. Wave your rods like a helicopter. Spin your rods in the air like a chopper. High choppers fly helicopters. We drunk cause we drink like a fish in the water. So high is like the world spinning faster. Dripping with sweat but it don't really matter. The music making me ball out. We see ladies and we call out. Them girls and them whining all out. Look a fight in the back, them brawl out. What? Me no business about that. Girls on me mind, so me thinking about that. Woman in the place, so me hunting for that. Bumpers in me face, so me on the attack. Just give me Henny, give me Stack. No racial thing, white oak, Johnny Black. Oh gosh, I can catch a jet lag. 1919 does have me feeling high like a helicopter. Spin out your rods in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us.